London, 1867. 3 in the morning. A bell rings in Lord Ashworth's study. His butler finds him hunched over a mahogany cabinet, reading a ribbon of paper by candlelight. A message from Calcutta. That message travelled 6,000 miles in 11 minutes. But here's what makes this different from a telegram. Lord Ashworth didn't wait by the machine. He went to bed. The message waited for him, stored on a punched card in the exchange, until his home terminal rang to announce its arrival. This is the world we never got. Not just faster communication, a fundamental shift in how information exists. Stored, searchable. The pieces existed. Charles Babbage spent decades designing his analytical engine, a mechanical computer that could perform any calculation. Ada Lovelace wrote what we now recognize as the first computer program. Babbage died bitter, his machine unfinished. The telegraph carried only simple signals between trained operators. What if someone had seen how to connect them? In this timeline, a different insight emerges. Frederick Thornton, an engineer working on the Atlantic cable, realizes something profound while debugging signal relays. Babbage's mechanical logic, the gears and levers that perform calculations, can be mimicked electrically. Relays clicking on and off. Logic traveling through wire at the speed of lightning. More importantly, information can be stored. Not as a message waiting for an operator, but as patterns on punched cards, retrievable on demand. You need a machine that remembers. By 1862, the first 3 analytical terminals connect across London. By 1867, the Atlantic cable carries not just dots and dashes, but structured data, queries and responses, questions and answers. The network is born. By 1870, the post office installs public terminals in every major city. For a penny, you can send a message. For tuppence, you can query the public registers, ship arrivals, commodity prices, train schedules. Information that once required knowing the right people now costs pocket change. But here's the first divide. A penny is nothing to a banker. It's an hour's wages for a dock worker. They receive messages instantly, a bell ringing in the parlor. Stock prices print automatically each morning. The middle class subscribes to receive only tickers. No sending, but the news arrives fresh, printed on tape over breakfast. It costs less than a daily newspaper subscription, and it's faster. The poor queue at public terminals. 30 minutes on a busy day. An attendant helps those who cannot read. Within 5 years, something unexpected emerges. People begin using the network not just for business, but for conversation. Discussion circles form. A naturalist in Edinburgh posts observations. Colleagues in London, Paris, and Boston respond within hours. Arguments that once unfolded over months of letter writing now resolve or escalate in days. The newspapers panic, then adapt. Editors learn a new skill, writing not for tomorrow's paper, but for the next 10 minutes. But the network creates something stranger than fast news. It creates shared experience. When the Prince of Wales falls ill in 1871, millions follow updates simultaneously. Strangers discuss his fever in pubs and parlors. For the first time, an entire nation experiences an event together in real time. The political implications terrify those in power. In our timeline, the Reform Acts of 1867 and 1884 slowly expanded voting rights. Change came gradually because organizing was difficult. A meeting in Manchester couldn't coordinate with activists in London without weeks of letter writing. On the network, a message reaches every major city in an hour. When Parliament debates factory reform, workers read the speeches that same evening. When a mill owner in Leeds beats a child labourer to death, the nation knows before his body is cold. Strikes become national overnight. Politicians discover they cannot say one thing in Westminster and another in their constituencies. Every speech is transcribed, every vote is recorded. Every broken promise is remembered. By 1875, the pressure becomes irresistible. Universal male suffrage passes a decade early, and women are organizing their movement coordinated across the empire with terrifying efficiency. The old order feels the ground shifting beneath it. The American Civil War becomes the first networked conflict. Union forces coordinate across a 1,000-mile front in real time. Intelligence from behind Confederate lines arrives in Washington within hours. Lincoln watches battles unfold from his office, reports printing as cannons fire. The South tries to cut the wires. Sabotage teams become as valuable as cavalry. But the network routes around damage. Cut one line, messages find another path. The war ends in 1864, a year early. When white mobs murder freedmen in Memphis, the nation reads about it that same evening. Photographs, transmitted slowly but clearly, show the bodies. Northern newspapers print them. The political will for justice doesn't fade into comfortable forgetting. Millions of them, all watching. The British Empire stretches across a quarter of the globe. Now London can query Calcutta and receive an answer the same day. Colonial administrators no longer operate with months of autonomy. The empire becomes more centralized than ever before, and more brittle, because the same wires that carry orders also carry ideas. Indian intellectuals read Mill and Locke in real time. African scholars access European universities remotely. A clerk in Lagos can follow parliamentary debates about his own country's fate. The empire has given its subjects the tools to demand equality. When colonial administrators quote principles of British liberty to justify their rule, the colonized can quote them back. Did you mean them? Scientific progress accelerates beyond recognition. When Darwin publishes, responses arrive within days. A naturalist in Brazil sends observations that same month. The theory of evolution develops collaboratively, refined by hundreds of minds across dozens of countries. Medical knowledge spreads faster than disease. When cholera strikes Hamburg, successful treatments transmit worldwide within hours. Doctors in London, New York, and Sydney implement them before the epidemic can spread. The great plagues of the 19th century are contained. Not eliminated, but tamed. A woman in Warsaw can access the same journals as a professor in Oxford. Marie Curie reads every published paper on radioactivity the day it appears. She doesn't wait for translations. She doesn't need institutional access. The network democratizes knowledge, at least for those who can afford a terminal. But knowledge includes things we might prefer not to share. Weapons designs travel the same wires as medical breakthroughs. The same system that saves lives makes killing more efficient. By 1880, the term wire fraud enters common usage. Con artists discover they can reach thousands of victims with a single message. The Nigerian prince of this era is a Prussian baron, offering investment in non-existent railways. But the most insidious crime is impersonation. On the network, you are only your account number. A clever forger can send messages as anyone. Reputations are destroyed in hours. His clients have fled. Governments realize what they've built. The Home Office establishes a communications office in 1878. Every message passes through central exchanges. With sufficient resources, any message can be read. In Russia, the Tsar monitors dissidents. In Prussia, Bismarck tracks socialists. The tools of liberation become tools of control, and something else emerges. Some people cannot stop checking. They wake at night to see if messages have arrived. They neglect their families. Victorian doctors begin documenting cases of terminal obsession, a nervous disorder characterized by compulsive engagement with the network. The treatment, a month in the countryside, far from any wire. When war erupts in 1914, every nation has 50 years of networked experience. Generals receive real-time intelligence from the entire front. Artillery coordinates with infantry by the minute. Attacks are timed to the second. The killing becomes horrifyingly efficient. But something else is different. In our timeline, governments controlled information from the front. Families learned of deaths weeks later through carefully worded telegrams. Newspapers printed what censors allowed. This time, mothers know within hours when their sons fall. Casualty lists update continuously. The names scroll past faster than anyone can read them, but everyone tries. By 1915, anti-war movements coordinate across national boundaries. French and German socialists communicate despite the censors. Governments try to restrict the network. It's too late. The infrastructure of resistance is already built. The armistice comes in 1916, not because the war is won, but because it can no longer be sustained. The home fronts have seen too much. They demand an end. By 1900, the network has reshaped daily life in ways no one predicted. Education transforms first. A village school in Wales accesses the same lesson plans as Eton. Children take examinations graded in London. The aristocracy's monopoly on quality education crumbles, slowly but relentlessly. For women, the network creates unexpected freedom. When you communicate through a terminal, no one sees your dress, no one judges your presence in a male space. The first female stockbrokers operate entirely through the network. Their clients never know they're taking financial advice from women. By the time it becomes obvious, it's too late to object. A woman in Manchester corresponds with a man in Toronto. They fall in love through words alone. When they finally meet, some are disappointed. Others discover that words were enough. A new kind of intimacy emerges. And a new kind of deception. Terminal romances become both celebrated and mocked. Markets move at the speed of information. The first flash panic occurs in 1882. A false rumor about war with Russia spreads through the network in minutes. Stock prices collapse. By the time the correction arrives, fortunes have been lost. Some suspect the rumor was deliberate. Nothing is ever proven. Businesses discover they can operate across distances. A factory owner in Birmingham manages suppliers in 3 countries. Orders flow through the network. Payments clear through networked banks. The middlemen, who once connected buyers and sellers, find themselves obsolete. A craftsman in a small town can now reach customers worldwide. He photographs his work, transmits the images, and ships to addresses he's never seen. Small businesses compete with large ones, if they can afford the terminal fees. But not everyone can. The divide between the connected and unconnected grows sharper. By 1890, access to the network correlates almost perfectly with income. Politicians debate, is connection a right or a privilege? The poor, unable to participate in the debate, have no say. Art discovers new forms. Writers publish serially, chapters appearing daily. Readers respond immediately. Some authors adjust their stories based on feedback. Characters who resonate survive. Unpopular plots are abandoned mid-narrative. Critics call it pandering. Readers call it participation. The line between author and audience blurs. Music transmits poorly through the network. Quality degrades across distance. But the experience of shared listening, knowing that thousands hear the same notes at the same moment, creates something new. Concert halls in London perform for audiences in 20 cities simultaneously. The performance is degraded. The experience is transcendent. Visual art reproduces badly. Paintings become blueprints, sketches of themselves. Simple lines, bold contrasts, images that survive transmission. Critics dismiss it as crude. It becomes the most popular art form in history. For the first time, culture becomes truly global. Whether this is triumph or loss depends on who you ask. Religion adapts because religion always adapts. The Pope addresses the faithful worldwide. Missionaries in distant lands receive guidance from Rome within hours. The Church becomes more centralized than any time since the Middle Ages. Other faiths follow. Religious authority, once diluted by distance, concentrates at the center. But the same network carries doubt. A young man in a devout household reads arguments he would never find in his village. Atheist pamphlets travel the same wires as sermons. Faith becomes a choice in ways it never was before. Some choose it more fervently. Others walk away. Philosophers grapple with stranger questions. When minds connect across distance, when thoughts travel faster than horses, what does it mean to be human? Is the network an extension of consciousness or a replacement for it? Are we becoming one mind or fragmenting into millions of disconnected pieces? The questions sound remarkably familiar. With a 60-year head start, where does technology stand by the 1960s? Terminals shrink. The parlor cabinet becomes a desk device, becomes something that fits in a pocket. Vacuum tubes replace mechanical relays. Then, something smaller replaces vacuum tubes. The network grows faster, denser, more pervasive. The space race, if it happens, benefits from generations of networked coordination. Rockets require calculations that would take human mathematicians years. The network performs them in hours. Perhaps astronauts reach the moon in the 1940s. Perhaps Mars by 1970. Or perhaps not. Perhaps different problems emerge. Perhaps the network's acceleration creates crises we avoided by developing more slowly. Perhaps we'd have destroyed ourselves by now. The future is harder to predict than the past. This timeline never happened, but imagining it reveals something important. The challenges we face with digital technology aren't new. They're not unique to silicon chips or fiber optics. They emerge from the fundamental nature of networked communication. Many-to-many communication. The Victorians, in this imagined world, would have faced every problem we face. The concentration of power among those who control the infrastructure. They would have solved some problems better than we have. They would have made different mistakes. But the core tensions between openness and security, between connection and isolation, between progress and preservation, those tensions are inherent in the technology itself. We were always going to face them. History turns on small moments. In our timeline, Babbage never secured funding to complete his analytical engine. The telegraph remained a simple point-to-point system for another century. The insights that created the internet emerged from Cold War military research in the 1960s. But it didn't have to be that way. The knowledge existed in the 1850s, the materials existed, the need existed. What was missing was a single insight, that computing and communication could be unified. That information could be stored and retrieved, not just transmitted. In some other timeline, perhaps they did. That's what alternate history teaches us. The world we live in isn't inevitable. It's the result of accidents, coincidences, and near misses. And perhaps it helps us see the path still ahead. We did build it, eventually. The world that imaginary Victorians might have created. Billions connected. Information flowing freely. The same debates raging. Truth versus lies. Privacy versus security. Connection versus isolation. The same addictions, the same frauds, the same revolutions. Would earlier development have made us wiser? Or would we have made the same mistakes just sooner? Would the 19th century have survived social media? Would Victorian democracy have weathered algorithmic manipulation? Perhaps in that other timeline they wonder about us. Perhaps they imagine a world where the network came a century later, where humanity had more time to prepare. Perhaps they envy our slower path, or pity it. We'll never know. The internet wasn't invented in the 1800s, but the dream was already there. The dream of connection, of shared knowledge, of minds reaching across distances that once seemed impossible. The Victorians had their telegraphs and their unbuilt engines. We have our smartphones and our satellite links. Future generations will look back at our technology and wonder how we managed with such primitive tools. What remains constant is the need. The human need to connect, to share, to understand each other across the distances that divide us. Technology changes. That need doesn't. It never has. It never will. A message from a friend across the ocean. A piece of news that will change his morning. A connection across the void, just like us. Always just like us.